Slavery. I think you know what that spells. It spells slavery. Let us get real going into 2025 here on The Warriors. Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Thank you for following along. Thank you always for all of your support, your volunteering, your donations, goods, services. You are really terrific warriors, and I commend all of you. Let's continue on this path because community does indeed create the change at this ground level. Boots on the ground. I'm very serious about this. I'm getting more serious every single day. I want to talk about slavery. Slavery. We hear the word slavery. Like everything else we talk about here in the Warriors, not very popular. Ugly, dark, maybe something we learned in grammar school where it was glossed over in the history books. As I've become older, and I really have studied and done my, I guess what they call these deep dives into subject matters, I really did not learn much in grammar in high school. Textbook, yes. And I took it for granted. What was taught in those textbooks was that's the story and that's accepted, never questioned it. But as I've gotten older, we question everything, question more, question all the time, do your research, do your vetting. So I want to talk about slavery. Something since I started the Warriors, I've never been trafficked. I had a wonderful childhood. I have not been abused. And I feel very lucky because we work every single day and it is so prevalent. All of this abuse, this exploitation, this ugliness. It is shocking to me each and every day that in the United States, anywhere in the world, but especially the United States, that this is happening. When we've always prided ourselves on we're such a great nation and we're number one. And then about 6 years ago, when I just was working on a project and doing the research, fell into this intersection of domestic violence and human trafficking and couldn't help myself. I kept researching, and then it fell into the demand is for children, and then it fell into how many people are doing this, the money's being made, the government in the last 4 years complicit, in my opinion, with the criminal cartels in the biggest human trafficking operation the world has ever seen. So we're going to stay on it. We're going to stay tough. We're going to talk about slavery because I never liked the word trafficking. I know that's what it's called. I know that's what the laws refer most of the time, this trafficking in persons, this, that. We've got to call it what it is. And you know what it is, warriors? It is slavery. The enslavement of another one for the purposes of gaining something from them, enslaving them for labor, sex. And they have no way out. And right now, 2024, last quarter, going into 2025, we got to take a hard stand. I'm rebranding human trafficking, human slavery. I will, for now on, be referring to this as slavery. It is exactly the description of what it is right now in the United States. We have more slavery going on in the United States than any other time in history. So we think about the slaves in Africa. Yes, indeed, we have all of that in our history. But right now, the enslavement of children. Just today, the New York Post broke an article that 60 children, they say unaccompanied minors, kids, at the border showed up. A 2-year-old with a piece of paper with a phone number and a name on it. Where did she come from? How did she get there? She wasn't walking hundreds of miles with a piece of paper and a bright pink ski jacket. Somebody carried her there, brought her there, sex trafficked her there, something. And the story goes that her parents sent her, somebody sent her, and she said 2 years old, and she said to Border Patrol, I'm looking for my mother and father. Now, all of this, and you know this, is unacceptable. And I'm tired of it, and you should be tired of it, but not that kind of tired. Tired of it enough to take action. Tired enough of it to understand we must remain vigilant in January 2025 going forward. There is no magic pill to correct all of this. Tom Homan will be at the forefront as border czar, a true border czar, and I have full confidence in his abilities and his take actions, but we are in for the fight of our lives. And think about this, trying to protect vulnerable, children coming over the border that are then disappearing in this country, enslaved, slavery, and people will fight this. Americans will fight this. Children. And then we have our own children. The problems, the escalations, 36 million reports alone to National Center for Missing and Exploited Children just last year of online activities. That's what's reported. Could be triple the number. American kids facing sextortion. American kids being able to buy drugs on all the platforms. It's time to call out the big tech BS, right? Enough. We know they have lobbyists. We know members of Congress, Democrats and Republicans, when they retire, go on to their next gig, want to work on boards of banks or big tech. But let's call it right now, hashtag big tech BS. It is unbelievable and incredible. We have this slavery of our American children and bringing in hundreds of thousands. And right now, we reported over 500,000 missing unaccompanied children. Do we talk about all the missing kids in our country? You know, people fight me on this one when I put out tweets that say, on the average day here in America, we have 2,300 American children missing. Now, these children can be runaways. They can be running away from physical abuse, sexual abuse, all of that horror. They can be familial disputes between two parents. One parent takes the kids and takes off with them. They can also be sex trafficked, labor trafficked. And people have the audacity sometimes to write to me, well, that's not true, and most of them are found. Whatever you read or hear, take with a grain of salt. First of all, which I can never figure out, I do ask the powers that be, why are all the studies, for the most part, all the stats we have, they're very old, right? I can't use a study from 2020. It holds no weight these days. Things are changing on a dime. Predators are very smart. Traffickers are very smart. They are in it to make money. It's not even about the sex. They are in it to make money. This is what they do. And they've been handed all this. We've handed to them. We've become addicted to the internet. We've become addicted to let the kids rule themselves on the internet, not asking questions, not putting guardrails. Granted, big tech, the platform should be doing it, but that's the fight we have on our hands. And the other fight we have on our hands is the Biden-Harris administration, and join me, because we have to call it what it is, has allowed this human slavery of babies, of children. Is this not crazy? And there are already calls to action that they will take to the streets to fight for when these people are removed. Now, let me get something, make it very clear with you, to you, that right now there are a reported 10 million or so illegal aliens. They are illegal. They broke into this country. I don't care they were invited by the Biden-Harris administration. They broke in. We want people to come here legally, assimilate into America correctly, like all the people before them that have worked so hard with immigration attorneys to become an American, 7, 8, 9 years, because immigration attorneys report this to me. And these people just come in. I see them on the streets all over New York, selling food. That's another thing. A report just came out. There's one restaurant in Brooklyn, can't even call it a restaurant, where it serves as this main hub, where all of these women are forced. And I see them on the streets, these tin containers. They've got chicken, rice, comes with a can of soda, a bottle of water. They sell them for $10 a meal. They show up at all the construction sites. They're showing up on street corners. People are buying it for them. And the report said that this place in Brooklyn, they traced it back, is so filthy dirty with roaches and flies and all this. And they're selling this poison to people on the streets. Are those women forced that I see pulling around these wagons, these carts with these large coolers, 6, 8 feet long on the sidewalks? Are they trafficked? Are they forced into this? So how dare these Americans say that they're going to fight the returning of, which will start with, I want everybody to understand, with the 10 million that are here, because I'm going to believe what I'm told by my well-vetted sources. It starts with getting rid of the horrible criminals, the trendy Aragua, those horrible ones that I am told the number is near 700,000. So it's not grabbing babies from their mother's arms and little children. It starts with the worst of the worst, the criminals. And then Americans would stand there because they would allow those criminals who broke into our country to further abuse these other people that came here and keep them in this forced slavery, this debt bondage, whether they're selling the chicken and rice on the corner or the women are being forced into, and girls too, into the sex trafficking to pay off cartels, right? Then our children who are being sold these horrible drugs from the Mexican cartels online. Fentanyl in America kills 300 Americans a day. Shouldn't we be speaking about that all day long? So when these crazy people come to defend these Americans, all of this criminality, get ready. We may be happy now and dodged a bullet on November 5th, but we have to remain in the know, vigilant, and let's start using the correct terminology, the correct words for what they are. If it scares you, it should. Because today in the United States, we have more slavery, people enslaved, both Americans and all of these illegal aliens, migrants, than any other time in history, with the number only growing. We're going to stop it. Enough. Please honor our hashtag Community Creates Change. Follow us all the time, lynswarriors.org, for daily information, updates, headlines. And each and every day, make sure, in this season of thanks, hug your children, love your children, and all your neighbors, yourself. Do a kind deed each and every day. You'll feel better about yourself. And when you wake up every day, go out and be a warrior.